Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a pick a card reading. There's no overall theme for this one, but I'm kind of getting just an energy of like the Ace of Pentacles. So where is there an Ace of Pentacles coming into your life, or if it's already there, like what it is that you can work with in regards to growing that more perhaps, or like working with that energy a bit more. So for the cards we have here, I'm just gonna go right into it. Group 1 is this one. It's a purple sort of spiral thing with an orange background. For group 2 we have this one. It has a blue ring in the middle and then sort of like a burgundy color on the outside. And then for group 3 we have this one, which has a yellow ring and a blue background. So I will hold up all three so that you can compare. So we have group 1, group 2, and group 3. Timestamps are in the description box below. Hi group 1. If you picked this card, then this is your reading. The first card out we're going to start with is the Mother of Wands, and these two are just looking incredibly similar to me. This was not the inspiration for when I was creating this, but it kind of just looks like this. So anyways, this Mother of Wands talks to me about being very protective about something. It feels kind of like there's something here where it's like perhaps there was some sort of broken wishbone energy. It says a wish will not be granted. I feel like this is a past energy, and because of this sort of like broken wish energy, or like a wish that was not granted, it caused sort of a Mother of Wands energy for you, where it's kind of feeling like very protective over your energy perhaps. It's kind of feeling like or something, being protective over something. But what's coming out as well, you have the Agape card, which is kind of talking to me about like, so this is an unconditional love card, right? Especially with this, the Mother of Wands. I feel like there's something here about like removing yourself from the center of whatever is happening, because it's kind of like this Mother of Wands I sometimes see as being somebody who's like fearing injury, or like because it's a protective energy, it's like fearing something, right? Like perhaps like disappointment or something like that with the broken wishbone. It's kind of feeling like with the Agape there's an energy here of like wanting you to sort of shift your perspective from like you at the center into like something about like service to others as well, because the next card to come out here is the Strength card, which is talking about like, because I'm seeing this as being sort of like a coiled energy, right? With this one, it's coiled versus something that's like open and almost like stretched out. Like, you know how when like cats and dogs, they stretch after a long nap? That's sort of how I'm seeing this, because it feels like the energy here is coiled, like it's like tightly sprung kind of energy, whereas this Strength card talks, it's looking to me like stretching after a long nap, like that kind of thing. Because it's coming out with the Strength, it feels like there's an element here of generosity that is needed, and there's a lot of that energy here of like giving something of what you have, something that you have as a strength. But it's like kind of like it's coming out as like some sort of like magic that you have is the word I'm going to use. It's coming through as being like, release the magic. There's some sort of magic that you have that perhaps you're very protective over because perhaps there was a disappointment in the past about it. And what's coming through here is the the vine and the tree, which is really interesting. Seek out information that will help you. And the tree, which says affairs with your family. So how I'm seeing this vine is kind of like, this vine is wrapped around the tree. I'm actually seeing you as the tree. And it's kind of like the vine, I feel like is kind of like an energy that's like draining you is kind of how it's feel. Or like, if it's not draining, it's kind of just like it's coiled around you. All this energy of like a coil, right? Like it's kind of like the vine is coiled around you in some way. It's kind of feeling like there's like this vine is, it could be something like a controlling energy. But anyways, I feel like there's kind of like here, because it's coming out here with the Anima Mundi, perhaps you don't know what this is, because it's coming through as being like, seek out information that will help you. You may not be seeing the full picture yet, is kind of how it's coming through. Or there's a much bigger picture that perhaps you're not seeing, like, especially if you're focused in on details, perhaps it might be sort of like a bigger energy that you're not seeing. And then we have the Anima Mundi card, which talks about accepting all that is, because I feel like there's kind of like this energy here of like, because it's coming out underneath here with the Daughter of Wands and the bat, which is coming through as being sort of, so the bat comes through as an ending of a chapter, right? Like closing something out. And the Daughter of Wands talks about like a playful creation, but I feel like because it's coming out after the Mother of Wands, it almost feels like being more childish is kind of how it's coming through. I don't want to use the word childish though, because I feel like that's part of the wounding, right? It's like not wanting to be childish is what this is looking to me like. Or not wanting to be sort of in a quote-unquote lower version of where it is that you are now is kind of how it's feeling. Because right now you're in this Mother of Wands, and when it's like you uncoil the magic, it feels like it would put you more in a Daughter of Wands energy of like almost feeling like a beginner again is kind of how it's coming through. Something like that. But it's like this chapter has to be closed, because what's coming out next here, you have the Gem card and the Caterpillar, which says things will not always be this way. A change is coming. And you have the Three of Swords and the Ace of Swords. So I feel like this Three of Swords is talking about like, this is the vine energy. It feels like there's something like encircling you in a way that's almost like pressing other people's energies against you here with the Three of Swords, where it's like there's other swords around you and it's like coiling. And I feel like, because it's looking to me like these two cards are looking very similar, like needing to release that energy with this sort of Ace of Swords, right? Like you needing to be sort of like freed from whatever that influence is with this with this infinity sign, right? It's like, this is your magic here with there's some sort of truth here, and especially with the gem. Something about like your magic or your gift or something that's very rare and unique about you that I feel like is being controlled in some way. I'm going to put that in quotations, by other energies, perhaps in your environment, but it could also just be like some sort of like past disappointment or past heartbreak energy. It doesn't necessarily have to be still in your space. It kind of just feels like that this may be sort of like a past heartbreak or something like that. Perhaps having to do with a family energy or like something that was very disappointing, or whatever it is that's got you in this sort of like protective mode is how I'm seeing this. Like release the magic is what I'm seeing. And the caterpillar, it says things will not always be this way. Change is coming. And what you have next is the moth, right? It's like transforming from this caterpillar into the moth. But this moth is also interesting as well, because I feel like it's coming out underneath here with the orphan card. So the orphan card talks about a wounded child energy, right? So especially with the family matters and the vine, where it's like there are some, perhaps like I'm seeing this vine as being like an energy that prevented you from reaching your full potential is kind of how it's coming through. And so it's kind of like, again, with the encircling. So there's an energy here that is, I don't know if it's present tense or past, where it's like there's an energy here that's perhaps preventing you or prevented you from reaching your full potential, right? But it's kind of like there is a change coming. I feel like part of this wounded child energy might be with the moth, because this card talks about like when it's in balance, it's very whimsical and enthusiastic. When it's unbalanced or imbalanced, it talks about like seeing everybody else as having more than you do is kind of how this card comes through, where it's kind of like there's something here, especially with the orphan, right? Like not having enough of something. So it could be something like you're there because of this Three of Swords, right? It's kind of like maybe there are other people in your environment where their energy is sort of like encircling in a way where it's like causing this sort of like wounded child energy, where it's like feeling like perhaps you're not good enough, or that you don't have enough, or that other people have more than you, is kind of how it's coming through. And that's not true at all. That's what this reading is trying to talk about. Like, it's because the next card after the moth is the shark. This card talks about something really big that's needing to be released, like some sort of, it could be a secret, but to me it's more so like your authenticity, right? Like your ability to be yourself and who you are. It kind of comes through as being like feeling fearful about revealing some aspect about who you are, or being like fully authentic, or like there's something here about like feeling misunderstood, perhaps, with the shark. It's a feeling of like fear of being misunderstood. I feel like this is something here with the Three of Swords that you actually have been dealing with for a while. It's kind of how this is feeling. You may have had attempts, is kind of what this was feeling to me, like 3 attempts perhaps, or maybe like having to do things multiple times is kind of how it's coming through. But I feel like that's actually part of your magic. I feel like there's an energy here with the shark of like feeling like somebody is not going to understand this aspect of you. But I feel like that's part of like a Three of Swords energy. Like somebody in your past maybe didn't understand that aspect of you, but that doesn't mean that that should be something that you keep hidden. Because that's also something here with the gem. Like I feel like there's something here about like wanting to hide an aspect of yourself, because it may feel like kind of like this daughter of wands, like kind of like an amateur at something, or like feeling like a beginner, or that there's just something like whatever, uncomfortable about it, right? But what you have here actually is the crown, which says honor and respect will come to you, which is so lovely, because I feel like this is talking about like your power and your strength, right? Like this is actually a strength, is how I'm seeing this. But perhaps there was somebody in your past, this vine energy, that actually try to make you feel like it was a weakness, or it was something that you should hide or keep secret or caused wounding, right? Like they try to control this aspect of you maybe, or try to prevent it from flourishing in a way that it could have, is kind of how that's coming through. And I feel like here the guidance is kind of like the Hermit card. So taking time for yourself is absolutely necessary. This card also talks to me about like recovery from being gaslit, because there's a gaslight at the top there. It's like, I feel like there was a past energy, some sort of Three of Swords energy, where it's like somebody from your past, let's say, tried to convince you that you were not special, or that you didn't have a gift, or that you were not worth anything, is what I just heard. That's a terrible energy. That's what this Three of Swords is, right? It's like there was somebody in your past, this kind of vine energy, very subtle. It kind of feels like subtle gaslighting is what this is coming through as. Somebody who like just tried to convince you for their own reasons, whatever they are. I don't even want to know what caused that kind of energy, but it's like that for whatever reason, they try to control or keep you smaller than them, is kind of how it's feeling. They try to keep you smaller than them when you're the tree and they're the vine. So it's kind of, because it's kind of like they're like, you would outgrow them is what's coming through. You would absolutely outgrow them, because you have here the crown. So it's kind of coming through as being like, perhaps, yes, needing time to yourself, because it's kind of like, in order to correct an energy of gaslighting, it requires you to tap into who you are, right? Like to know yourself fully and truly, with the Hermit card, like to go within, to understand your gifts and your power. And this is not talking about like inflating your own ego or anything like that. It's kind of just like, if you're feeling like other people have more than you, that's a self-victimization kind of energy. And this is talking about like, honor and respect will come to you. You have some sort of like rare and unique gift that other people don't have, perhaps, or that would actually be of service to others. And it's kind of like this reading is trying to get you to release that, to share it. Because the next card here you have is the Offering, which I'm seeing is you, right? It's like this I'm seeing as being sort of like with the orphan, as being like, it comes through as an energy of like asking for things or needing things from others, whereas the Offering is actually trying to shift your perspective and to say like, you have a lot to give to others. So it's almost like a complete reversal of the energy here. It's like you have a lot to give, and it's also talking to me about like, it might come as a sacrifice, is kind of how it's coming through, but it's very sacred. The word sacred kept coming out. A sacred truth, perhaps, here with the Ace of Swords. And also flowers, which says happiness. So it could be some aspect of your happiness. I feel like with the Hermit, you've actually already done all of this sort of work of like healing this energy of whatever other people's like lies or controlling energy or whatever. You've healed all that already, is kind of how it's coming through to me. This doesn't feel new. It just kind of feels like the Three of Swords, it might have taken multiple attempts at doing it. That's how it feels to me. But I feel like here with the happiness and flowers, it's like you have a lot of happiness to give to others, right? Like flowers kind of coming through as being like a gift that you give to others. Your gift is happiness. You have some sort of happiness because, or what makes you happy also is kind of like a question here with the Hermit. Like how to prevent people from gaslighting you is if it makes you happy, then no one else can say anything against that. And also here with the Magician, I love this Magician so much because it's like you have all of the gifts, right? You have all of the tools. You have all of the whatever materials it is that you need to create something or to move towards something. But this one I always see as being sort of like a hesitant or shy magician, like not quite turned the right way, not quite like aligned in the right way yet, but it's like as soon as you're ready, it's like whatever it is that you're moving towards is going to move very quickly. And you have the Sun after this, right? A lot of fiery energy for your reading today, like something about especially with this card here, the colors. So sacral chakra, your creativity, and also with the purple, like third eye. So some sort of like, perhaps like mystical energy that has to do, like what, something you're going to create that has to do with like intuition or like your magic, whatever that is for you. You're going to create something magical as soon as you're ready. As soon as you're ready, it's like all of this happiness comes through, all of the sun. This I'm seeing is like your, like it's almost like releasing the vine energy, right? It's like breaking through whatever that vine energy that's almost like keeping you coiled is kind of how it's feeling. And then it's all of this sort of like creational energy just flowing outward from you. So group 1, that was a lovely reading though, but I feel like it's not, this card keeps standing out to me, the Three of Swords, like feeling like there's like a vine wrapped around you. So I'm gonna leave it there. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great night. Bye. Hi, group 2. If you picked this card, then this is your reading. So let's get started with the bottom of the deck energy. We have here the Cobweb, the Judgment card, and Thanatos with all this more cobweb energy. So protected from energies beyond your control. That's for sure for your energy today. That's the overall context. You're being protected from something. And with the Judgment card, it kind of feels like you're being freed from that energy as well. So that's the overall context, which is great. The first card out here, you have the Pale, which says time to get out of a situation. And the Unseen. I feel like there are energies around you here. It's coming out the Son of Pentacles and the High Priestess. This High Priestess card comes through as being sort of like there's an energy in the unseen. It's kind of feeling like you're not seeing this energy. Or there's like an unseen influence here that's sort of watching is kind of how it's coming through. Not to like make anybody paranoid or anything like that. It's kind of just like talking about like, I feel like you would be aware of this person, but you're not aware of the pushback that you're receiving from them is kind of how it's coming through with the Son of Pentacles. Because it's kind of like on the surface, perhaps they might not be necessarily saying anything to you, but energetically it's kind of like through energy they're pushing back against something that you're doing is kind of how it's feeling. And so it's kind of like this time to get out of a situation is kind of like, so perhaps leaving some sort of situation behind, not as a response to that, but it's kind of like, I feel like there's something, I'll come back to this. I feel like there's kind of just like an energy of unseen pushback, which is interesting. And it is coming out here with the mice, which says discord among friends and family. So it could be within your family or friend group, where it's like you're receiving pushback from from them about something that you're doing. And you may even naturally just be feeling sort of an energy of like getting out of a situation because of that, just sort of energetically. I feel like here, because your energy's coming out here with the comic card, and it's really interesting. You have the lion and the lamb coming out together underneath this card. So the comic to me is a really lovely energy where it talks about like somebody who's sort of like can see things from an outside perspective, right? It's like, because the comic is naturally sort of on the outskirts, they can see sort of like the lightness of a situation without getting sort of swept up in the drama, right? Like that's sort of what I'm seeing here with the mice, where it's like perhaps there's drama within some sort of group, but it's kind of like because you're out of it or you're on the outside of it in some way, you're not getting swept up by it. It's almost like it's perhaps it's humorous to you in some way, or that it's also kind of, because it's coming out with this, the lion and the lamb together, it's kind of like this energy of like this group, friends or family or whatever, are not, are they taking something too seriously, or they're not taking you seriously. It could be a combination of both, because I'm seeing this as being like, comedians are incredibly intelligent, right? Like the ability to sort of distill moments into like something that makes you laugh is an incredible skill, I think. But it's kind of like there are people who see comedians as being sort of like immature. That's sort of how I'm seeing this dynamic, where it's like incredibly masterful at something. And with the lamb, sorry for my dog barking, with the lamb, it talks about being almost like this innocent truth teller, right? It's kind of like there's like a this sort of like 2-in-1 energy where it's like you're a masterful whatever this is, that with the lion, right? Like reach some sort of level of mastery in something, but also like people are seeing you as being sort of like an innocent, perhaps naive lamb energy. But it's also talking about, both of these cards though talk about patience, because I feel like you're waiting for something is kind of what's coming through here. There's an energy of like, because you've removed yourself from a situation, you can now see like the bigger patterns that are unfolding is kind of how it's coming through. And it's kind of like you're waiting on something. With the needle and thread card, you have a sincere wish will be granted. I feel like this is something for like you've already perhaps made this wish or something like that, and it's been granted. So it's kind of like you're just waiting for that thing to arrive. And you have here the Kairos card underneath that, which again is this sort of like this eye energy, right? Like there's been all three of these cards have like significant eye energies, like being able to see something. The unseen energy is the unclear one, but I feel like because you're coming out with this energy, it's kind of like you're seeing something, perhaps about a wish being granted that others are not seeing, or whatever. It's something like that. Like you're seeing something that other people are not seeing about a certain situation, or like some sort of drama or something like that. The Kairos card also talks about divine timing, because I feel like that's very significant here, that there's like a divine timing aspect at play. And it's kind of like, because you're coming out here with the lion and the lamb, you're patient because you're waiting for this important event or whatever, divine timing to do its work. And so it's kind of like you're just content to just sort of wait for whatever this event is to take place. Because you have next here the 7 of Cups and the 4 of Wands. So this 4 of Wands talks about celebration, or like completing something, or this is the important event, and it's coming out underneath this, because this sometimes looks to me like an eye or like a portal or like a something significant, right? Like that you're stepping through. But it's kind of like with the 7 of Cups, there's confusion or illusion present. But it's almost like you're fine with that because you know that at some point this wish is going to be granted. There's some sort of divine timing aspect at play here. Because the next card that you have out is the Whale, which says great worry over nothing. Great worry over nothing. I feel like there's a lot of drama is what's coming through, or pushback, or discord about something that's not even like a really big issue. At least how you're seeing it is not a big issue with the comic. You're seeing it almost as being like playful or not dramatic, when perhaps other people are seeing it like that, and it's kind of like you're seeing it as being nothing to worry about. Whatever this problem is, it's coming out as the riddle. The riddle, which I'm seeing as being sort of like trying to get at the answer to something, right? Like trying to solve some sort of problem. This card talks about the fact that the more that you try and focus on it, or the more that you try and solve the problem, the less clear it becomes. I feel like that's what this situation is talking about, that there's perhaps a lot of people, or like just multiple opinions trying to solve a particular problem. I feel like it's for, like, what's coming out here is the starfish. I'm seeing this as other people's energies, where it's like they're trying to solve a problem, or like be like the loudest voice in the room, is kind of how it's coming through with the starfish. Like, it's kind of like there's just a lot of people like trying to solve a problem, almost like as a show, or like as like a trying to prove something to others, is kind of how it's coming through with the starfish. Like trying to just like the first one to solve this problem gets a prize kind of energy. Like that's perhaps what they're fighting for, is kind of how it's feeling, or like that's why there's all this pushback. Anyways, I'm seeing you as being the Hanged Man, which is emphasizing again this sort of like stepping back from something, because the more you try and solve the problem, the less clear it becomes. That's what this riddle card is talking about. So it's kind of like you're just stepping back and letting the answer come to you, because the Hanged Man also talks about enlightenment, right? Like getting the answer, getting a solution to a problem, because you're taking a different perspective than perhaps other people are. I feel like that's very significant. It's like you have a different perspective about something. And it's kind of coming through here with the Father of Wands. It's like you will know when the timing is right. It's going to be very obvious what it is, what the answer is, or what the solution is. And it's coming through with the Father of Wands as being like a creative solution, is kind of how it's coming through. But also how I'm seeing this is kind of like somebody who doesn't back down from conflict, first of all, with the Father of Wands. Very passionate, and also compassionate, which is like having a lot of compassion for the others that are going through this problem. I feel like it's kind of like there's somebody in your space that is like I'm trying to leave it like that, because the last card out you have is the Mother, which I'm just seeing as being sort of like the shift between the riddle, which is sort of like, I always see this card as like it's spinning. It's spinning, so it's like nobody can get access to what's inside, like the solution. But for you, it's kind of like when the timing is right, it's almost like this riddle, or this problem gets opened up with the Four of Wands, right? It like becomes open here with the Four of Wands. It's like, I'm just seeing it as being like this spinning dial that just like won't, like you can't get access to it. But it's like because you have a different perspective, or you have some other way of seeing the situation that has to do with patience and divine timing, it's like the pearl is revealed to you. And you also have here the victory and the success cards coming out. So you're going to be victorious is kind of how this is feeling to me. It's also looking to me like, especially with this combination, like in Harry Potter, the 4th book, where he has to get the golden egg from the dragon energy. That's what it was looking to me like. And everyone expects him to fail because he's so young. And I feel like that it's kind of like somebody's underestimating you, or somebody is thinking that like you're not going to be successful at something. But it's kind of like this is exactly the type of problem that is meant for you, is kind of how it's feeling here with the Mother. Because this talks about like it was coming through as being like the source, like you have access to some sort of source. It's like it's meant, this thing is meant for you. You're gonna be successful in this. And it's like there are sort of energies around here with the cobwebs of like that you're being protected from. And you're ending here with the Justice and the Moon. The Justice actually in this card talks, or in this deck talks about like a significant choice, but it's also coming through with balance and lessons as well, right, with karma. Because it's kind of like I feel like you've learned a significant lesson here about divine timing, or trusting yourself, or mastering some aspect of yourself. And I feel like the others have not. That's how it's coming through. Where it's like they're still trying to solve a problem that's not a problem for you. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. It's also kind of just like, I'm seeing this as being sort of like having a lens of vision that other people just don't have access to. That's how it's looking to me. Anyways, and so that's why you're going to be successful. It has nothing to do with like, because it's like I feel like your position is the Hanged Man, just waiting for this thing to happen because you've already seen it happen, is how this is feeling. You've already seen something happen with the Justice card, and you're just waiting for it to play out. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. If this reading resonated with you, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great night. Bye. Hi, Group 3. If you picked this card, then this is your reading. So let's get started here. At the bottom of the deck, you have the younger woman. You have the Three of Pentacles and the Temple card. So I feel like this is talking about, this is the one reading where there's a lot of individuals. So overall context that you're coming through as the younger woman, but it doesn't have to be that. So just fit yourself into the story however you see fit. I feel like here with the Temple and the Three of Pentacles, there's some sort of like, so it's coming through as a collaboration here with the Three of Pentacles. You're one of the three is kind of how it's feeling. There may not even be three, I don't know, but it feels just kind of like with the Temple here of like seeking clarity about this collaboration, because I always see this one as this Three of Pentacles as sort of being like there's something hidden behind here. To me it looks like a tarp, like a tarp is covering something, or it could just be representative of like a mountain, because you do have the mountain here. The mountain where it's like some significant obstacle that's needing to be worked on, is kind of how it's coming through. So significant obstacle in some sort of collaboration. You're one of the three. I don't necessarily, like, you might not be the younger woman, that's just one of the three energies. Anyway, there's one, so we're starting off here. Coming up with the rooster, an arrogant, boastful person you should not cross, which is interesting. And they're also coming out with the judge in reverse. So the energy that I was getting for this card, this combination of cards, if you've watched that movie, Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood in it, this is sort of the character that is coming through here with these cards. Clint Eastwood's character, who's sort of like this older gentleman. So they don't have to be older or man. It's just kind of like, that's the energy that they're coming through with. Sort of like grumpy, or grumpy's a modest word for that. The judge in reverse, someone who's very critical, perhaps has a lot of prejudice for others in some way. They have a lot of like walls. Punishing was a word that was coming through. And because they're coming through with the rooster, I feel like they're always like offended by something, is kind of how it's coming through. So that's one energy here. It's also coming through with these four cards. The Four of Cups, which in this deck talks about greed, but it's also kind of coming through with like their attitude kind of feels like every morning somebody has pissed in their coffee. Like, that's what it looks like to me. That's the attitude that they have, is kind of how it's coming through. They're always sort of like grumpy about something. And with the Nine of Wands, the Devil, and the Death card, with the Nine of Wands, this talks about somebody, like, again in that movie, the Gran Torino, like, he was actually like a war vet. So this card is coming through as like the wounded warrior today, like has overcome a lot of difficulty and challenge in their life, but that has made them hard or bitter or angry. It's coming through with anger today, or that there's some sort of addiction or compulsion or something that's ailing them. Here with the Devil, I often see this card as being like experiencing physical pain in their body somehow. And with the Death card, it's like there's something that they're like needing to move through, some sort of closure energy that they're perhaps resisting, is kind of how it's coming through. Resisting some sort of transformation or change. The card that described this dynamic, or like what else is going on with them, is the Scales. Keep your life in balance, especially with the Judge in reverse, right? There's some sort of energy here of like experiencing an imbalance somewhere in their life, and that's causing the pain, is kind of how it's coming through. Anyways, that's one energy. It's coming through here because I feel like it's somebody that you're having to work with, and it might be kind of like a difficult dynamic, which is why it's kind of coming through like that. Anyway, in the end of Gran Torino, he ends up sort of like helping the people in his neighborhood, but whether or not that happens in this case will be specific to your scenario. So Three of Pentacles, though, it seems like kind of like a positive energy, but anyways, for you have here the leg, stepping into a new experience, and you also have here the Vision and the Starborn and the World, right? It's like I feel like perhaps you've actually reached some sort of completion energy with this person or relationship. It's kind of like it for you, at least. you've gotten closure about this, because it's kind of like you have the Death card followed by the World. It's like you've gotten closure about a certain situation. It kind of feels like that person or whatever, it's a person, somebody that has not gotten closure about this dynamic with you, but it's kind of like you're already stepping into something new is kind of how it's feeling, especially with the Vision and the Starborn. Like something, both of these cards talk about like a dream or a destiny, if you want to call it that. I'm putting that in quotations just because that word comes in with so much sort of like expectation, and it's kind of just like, for you, it's just like stepping into something new, right? It's just like you're starting something new or stepping into something new because you've closed off this cycle with whoever this is. Anyways, the next card coming out here is the Younger Man, which says dealing a relationship with a younger man. I feel like this is kind of like how this one is seeing you is kind of how it's feeling, because it's coming through as like they're the Clint Eastwood character. You're this sort of younger man energy. It's like with the Chariot, right? I feel like it's like you have a lot of willpower or determination or just like energy to move towards something that you are being called to move towards with the Vision and the Starborn. It's like you're being called to move towards this purpose or destination of yours and doing it with a lot of willpower. But it's kind of like this one, there's like their energy is still around you in some way, or it was kind of coming through here, especially with the younger man, that I feel like it's like on some level, this individual is trying to, or wishing they could, perhaps, live vicariously through you, is kind of how it's feeling. Because it's kind of like whatever it is that you're working on or you're going towards feels very purposeful and truthful and like a purpose, right? Like some sort of purposeful direction. It kind of feels like this one is trying to live vicariously in some way, just because it's like they're in this energy. I feel like it's like when here with the younger man, it was kind of coming through as being like when they were a younger man or younger, this is perhaps something that they wish they could have done, but perhaps they didn't for whatever reason. Or if they did do it, it perhaps didn't turn out the way that it, whatever. It just kind of feels like there's something here about like living vicariously is kind of how it's kind of feeling to me. Like wanting to be part of this journey with you is kind of how it's feeling. Like wanting to be part of this journey with you, but they're coming in with energy that's like the Judge in reverse, which is like not a pleasant energy at all. It's like this is the Judge in reverse is like has like extreme prejudice for something, or like negativity. They're coming in with negativity is kind of how it's feeling. They're being really negative about the thing that you're choosing, or like the thing that you're going towards, even though it's like what makes it difficult is that it's like they're being negative about your choice or your whatever, this new direction, when it's kind of like they wish that they could do that, or that they had done that when they were younger, is kind of how it's coming through. Anyways, I feel like there's kind of like this aspect here of like being patient with this energy, because it's like, I feel like here, the next cards that are coming out here, so you have here the Stone and the Nine of Swords coming out next. This is a really difficult card. It talks about anxiety or like unpleasantness or like things that you don't want to see, or it was coming through as sort of like integrating shadow aspects as well, because it's sort of like a discomforting energy. And with the Stone here, it comes through as being sort of like grounded and humble and stable. right? Like very reliable with the sword, reliable with the sword. That's interesting. So being careful with what you say as well, because the sword is the truth, but it's also, because you have the truth card coming out next, it also has a double edge, right? Where it's kind of like, and that's why I feel like this is coming through here for you, because it's kind of like you may be having difficulty with this relationship because perhaps you're seeing them as being somebody who's very stubborn or like very closed off, or has some sort of negative habit or negativity that like is whatever. It's like that, like your perception of them might be something that's like part of this energy with the Nine of Swords. Like you may be seeing things about them that perhaps you're afraid of, is kind of how it's coming through. You're seeing them as being perhaps like the worst version of them, perhaps potentially worst version of them, when perhaps part of that is like having to do with your own perceptions, perhaps. Because the next card out here you have is the Bow. You are highly thought of. I feel like this person actually thinks very highly of you, but for some reason the relationship is difficult. I don't know why. It's kind of like they think very highly of you, but the way that it's coming through, or how their energy feels to you, is this. The Judge in reverse. Somebody who's judgmental perhaps, or has a lot of negative energy, when it's like they think very highly of you. Perhaps they haven't said that, or it's kind of like, even if they are bringing a lot of negativity to you, it's like the reason for that might be that they're, trying to live vicariously through you. Anyways, you have here the Wheel of Fortune, which talks about a change, right? A significant change. So I feel like there's a change in this dynamic happening, right? With the Death card, it's like there's some sort of closure happening, or moving forward. I feel like you are already stepping into some sort of new experience. I feel like because this energy is present and you have the Three of Pentacles, that they may also be shifting perspectives about this dynamic. It's kind of like this is somebody that you have to work with in some way, or you have no choice about that, because it's like you work in the same place or whatever, with the Three of Pentacles, or you're in the same place. And I feel like here there's something here about, so the next card you have here is the Mountain Road, which says you are on the road to success. And with the Aletheia and the Eagle, which talks about truth. This Aletheia is really interesting. I did a collective reading, which I'll just post above, which had the Vision card, and it was talking about an unforgetting. And the River Lethe came out as being sort of like the reason for that unforgetting. I don't know if I mentioned that, but anyways, Lethe is the word that's within this word, Aletheia, which talks about truth. So truth is actually the opposite of unforgetting, or forgetting, I should say. Truth is the opposite of forgetting. So I feel like maybe this person has forgotten something, is kind of how it's feeling. Like they've forgotten some sort of truth about themselves, perhaps. Like, because it's kind of like, even if they're not an elderly individual, it's like that they're feeling that way, is kind of how it's feeling. Like their energy comes in with sort of like being older than they are, is how that feels to me. And it's perhaps having to do with this sort of like judge energy, right? Like it's like they've closed themselves off to new experiences, perhaps. And maybe it is that you're reminding them of that, right? Maybe it's that. It's like because I feel like on some level they actually do see themselves in you. Like you're sort of like a younger version or a younger whatever. You remind them of somebody perhaps that they knew when they were young, even because it's kind of like younger man and younger woman. Perhaps you remind them of somebody that like they knew when they were younger. And so it may be also kind of like activating some sort of difficult energy where it's like they're seeing you as a younger version of somebody from their past, and you're seeing them as like a potentially difficult version of something in your future or something like that, right? It's kind of like here with the Wheel of Fortune, there's a lot of like weird time stuff that's happening in this dynamic as well. You are on the road to success though. I feel like it's like, anyways, I'm going to leave that there because that's getting into like a rabbit hole I don't want to go into. So you have here the Mirror and the Swan. The Mirror and the Swan coming out together because this Swan card I always see as being like a mirroring energy. But it actually talks about like creating something and reflection. And also like having some sort of vision or purpose as well. And because it's coming out the Mirror, so this card talks about like, don't compare yourself to others. Also, I feel like it's like, don't compare this person to somebody that you know. That goes both ways. Don't compare this person or this relationship to somebody else that you know. That maybe it's like, maybe you're seeing them as being sort of like, they're reminding you of like a karmic relationship that you have, maybe like a difficult relationship that you have. It's like they're not the same person, even though their energy may feel like that, is kind of how it's coming through with the Nine. I feel like that's why the Nine of Swords is out. It's like they perhaps remind you of some sort of like difficult energy from your past, but it's kind of like the reason why that they're coming, like the reason why that they're in your space is because you're actually supposed to work together. It's kind of like the hurdle that you have to get over is the fact that this person reminds you of somebody that you don't like. Okay. Anyways, Dragonfly and Emperor coming out next. So the Dragonfly talks about controlling your mind and sort of like letting your thoughts be calm. Because I feel like there's kind of like this anxiety here with the Nine of Swords, right? Like the Dragonfly is the opposite of this, where it's like you may be having like anxious thoughts about working with this person because of this whatever past energy. And it's kind of like calm your mind and ask yourself if this is actually true. If this person that you're seeing is actually is it a repeat of a karmic lesson? Because I feel like you have here the World, right? Which is talking about like completing that. You've actually completed this karmic lesson already. You've already completed this karmic lesson already. It's kind of like, don't step back into that if it's not, like, just be conscious of that. Like, you're not repeating another pattern. I feel like if there is sort of mirroring or reflecting happening, it's like it's just bringing up old energies is kind of how that's feeling to me, right? It's like you have this Dragonfly energy, which is talking about like calmness in your thoughts and balance. And you're ending with the Emperor, which talks about like standing very strong and being very stable and reliable and just like doing your thing, right? It's like just keep doing what you're doing. You are on the road to success here. However this like dynamic turns out, it's like don't compare yourself to others. Like don't compare yourself to them. And also don't compare them to somebody else that you know that perhaps is a difficult relationship. So just focus on what it is that you're doing. You're on the road to success. Just keep going. you're not repeating a karmic cycle for sure. You're not. You've gotten closure about that. Whether or not this person does is sort of up to them. So I'm going to leave the reading there. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great night. Bye.